Today, I'm bringing you something that many of you have been asking me about these past weeks. A complete leg workout routine. I'm going to tell you absolutely everything, sets, exercises, rep ranges, intensity, so you can start applying it right away at the gym. So, I won't keep you any longer, let's get to it. First of all, warming up on leg day is super important. I always recommend doing exercises like these for about 20 to 30 seconds. Then do the same with the other leg for about 20 to 30 seconds. You can repeat a bit of the same movement, but this time from front to back, again 20 to 30 seconds with each leg, obviously. Next, do some mobility exercises, going down, going down. If you have something to hold on to like this, that's great. Go down, hold for a bit, come back up, and repeat the process the same way for 20 to 30 seconds. Go down properly, hold to improve mobility for the upcoming exercises, come back up, and with these exercises, that should be enough to get warmed up. Now I'll show you how to do it. The first and most basic exercise in the routine for the quadriceps is the leg press, but the 45-degree leg press, not the vertical or horizontal press. Here you do two sets, one top set, which means with more weight, and then a back off set, which is a bit lighter and in a higher rep range. The first, the top set, is for about 6 to 8 repetitions, very close to failure, and then the back off set is for about 8 to 12 repetitions, also very close to failure but with less weight. Since this is the first exercise of the routine, it's also super important to warm up properly. What does this mean? For example, if your working set, very close to failure, is going to be with 40 kilos per side, then first you put on 10 kilos and do 3 to 4 reps, then put on 20 kilos and do 3 to 4 reps, then 30 kilos and do 3 to 4 reps, and so on, gradually increasing until you reach your working weight. In this case, as I mentioned, it would be those 40 per side, for example, whatever you use. You do another 3 or 4 reps, and then you're ready to really tackle this exercise. First, the seat. You've probably noticed that it can be adjusted, and maybe you're not quite sure how to do it. Well, set it as reclined as possible to get a greater range of motion, as long as it's comfortable for you, of course. In this exercise, it's important to place your feet in the center of the platform with your toes pointing slightly to the left to better align the muscle fibers. Next, it's super important to go through the full range of motion all the way down, but always taking your mobility into account. That means the key is to make sure your glutes don't lift up like this. Don't go down so far that your glutes come off the seat. Go as low as you can, as long as you stay stable and your glutes never leave the seat at any point. In my case, I can go down to here, which is pretty much the maximum, so that's where I stop. This is super important. And always prioritize technique over weight. It's true that this is an exercise where you can load up a lot of weight, but personally, I recommend that you don't overdo it and that you focus on maintaining good technique. Alright, now you're going to see how I do my effective set with the weight, because in the end, lifting more weight isn't going to give us better results. We already know that very well. Let's move on to the effective sets. As you can see, I always keep my back and glutes pressed against the seat, which is super important. As for your head, it's true that you don't need to keep it pressed back here. You can move it like this to exert more force, but it's important that both your spine and glutes stay pressed against the seat throughout the entire movement. And as you can see, the set was taken very, very close to failure. Not to absolute failure, because this exercise isn't really meant to be taken to total failure. But you should definitely apply a lot of intensity and stop just 1 or 2 reps short of it. Next exercise, Romanian deadlift with dumbbells. We do this right after the leg press so the quads can rest a bit and we can really work the hamstrings and glutes, that whole posterior chain. That way, when we go back to quads, they're a bit more rested and fresher. Key points for this exercise, very important. When you lower the weight, you need to mentally focus on pushing your hips back, as if you were trying to break through a wall right behind you. So, push your hips back, and once you get here, start bending your knees a little, like this. It should look like this. And the dumbbell should always stay close to your shins. As you can see, the exercise should look like this. Here as well, do 2 sets. One heavier top set for about 6 to 8 reps, and another back off set for about 8 to 12 reps with a bit lighter weight. It's important to use straps for this exercise. Why? Because this way you'll be able to grip the dumbbell much better, you'll take the tension off your forearm, and the strap will take over. If you grip it normally, it's quite a heavy weight, and you might reach failure, but that's because your forearm or grip strength gives out, and not your hamstrings or glutes. So for this exercise, both short straps like these or the typical long ones will help you a lot. As you can see, I never arch my lower back or lumbar area at any point. I always keep it straight. That's super important to avoid injuries. And an exercise like this is essential in any routine for me because it's a hip hinge movement and it works your entire lower back area, erector spinae, glutes, and more. Beyond just hypertrophy, gaining muscle mass, and achieving a strong and aesthetic physique, which is obviously something we aim for, this is also super beneficial for your daily life. It will help you a lot. So for me, this exercise is extremely important, not only because it works the glutes, lower back, erector spinae, and so on, but also in terms of functionality. Next exercise, we're going back to a quadriceps movement. We've let the quads rest a bit by doing the previous exercise, the deadlift, which targets the hamstrings. So now with the quadriceps more rested, we're going to do a hack squat on the machine. Don't worry if you don't have this machine, because I know that many gyms don't. If that's the case, you can also do squats on the Smith machine, which is also great and a very similar exercise. Personally, I like this one much more because you can generate a lot more force in the movement by supporting the weight on your shoulders. But if you don't have it, the Smith machine squat is also very good. Here, go very, very close to failure, doing the full range of motion, going down as far as your mobility allows, just like I mentioned with the leg press, and coming up while really controlling both the negative phase and the explosive concentric phase. But always, as with the leg press, prioritize technique and range of motion over the amount of weight. Now we're going to do the working sets. As you can see, also super close to failure. In fact, here your cardiovascular system will probably give out before your muscle group does, or at the same time, because it's an extremely demanding exercise overall. So just like with the leg press, it's not necessary to go to complete muscular failure, because you'll generate a lot of fatigue for the stimulus you're giving, and more fatigue doesn't mean more growth. On the contrary, you probably wouldn't recover from the workout, you could end up overtraining, and it would be a complete mess. So in this exercise, it's much better to stop 1 or 2 reps before failure. We'll have another exercise later on where we will go to complete failure. Next up is the seated leg curl machine. For me, it's the best exercise for the hamstrings and the entire posterior chain. Honestly, this machine is pretty poorly designed because you notice the roller hits your knee, and that's useless, since when you do the exercise, you end up lifting yourself up and it's super uncomfortable. The important thing is that the roller presses here, which is how most of the hamstring curl machines you'll find are. So it's super important to press it firmly against your knee to stay really stable throughout the entire movement. And here, it's also very important to go through the full range of motion, holding for a second at the end to counteract the machine's inertia. As you can see, it has a lot of it. Let's do the working sets. 3 sets to complete failure with partial reps. Last quadriceps exercise, knee extension on the machine. Classic machine quadriceps extension. It's the last one as a finisher. 3 sets to complete failure with partial reps. You'll see it now. Here, the key to this exercise is the seat. It's important to adjust it so that the axis of the machine is aligned with your knee. That means this axis should be lined up like this, and your knee shouldn't be either in front of or behind this axis. That would be perfect, and the roller should rest here on your instep. Then adjust this arm properly, and now you can do the exercise. Let's get to the working sets so you can see a bit better the intensity I use in this exercise. Here, it's super important to control the movement because it's really easy to jerk the weight. Since this machine has a lot of inertia, if you pull too hard, the inertia will make it move on its own, so we want to move it with the quadriceps. That's why, as you can see, I really control the negative phase. The concentric phase is explosive, as always, but then I pause a bit at the top to compensate for the machine's inertia, and then lower it slowly, because like I said, this machine has a lot of inertia. By controlling it well at the top for a second, to compensate for that inertia, and lowering it little by little, that's the key here. As I said, go to complete failure, even with a partial rep, and we finish the workout with calf raises on the leg press. Why do I do them on the leg press? Because if you notice, it allows us to keep our knees extended and to work the calf muscle. It's better to have the knee extended because that's how it gets activated. If you use the typical calf machine, you'll see that you're like this with your knee bent and then you do this. You're actually training the soleus more, which is this part here. With your knees extended, you're working the calf muscle more. Key points for this exercise. Really control the movement. That is, do it like this, hold for a bit, extend fully like this, then do the ankle extension like this. That's super important. Do them in a controlled way and don't just bounce through the movement because that won't stimulate your calf at all. Here it's 3 working sets to complete failure. And that's it for today's leg workout. Start applying it right away at the gym. And remember, if you want to change your physique, I offer personalized one-on-one coaching with 24/7 contact with me, a 100% customized training plan tailored to you, your available training days, your schedule, prioritizing the muscle groups you want to improve with access to my app, and the same goes for nutrition, with lots of options for every meal and much more. I'll leave my website, albertomar.com, down below in the description so you can tell me more about your situation, contact me, and we can start working together. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you soon.